Okay, so I had a potential client reach out to me today who just bought a home in Kissimmee, Florida, and they were interested in putting the home on Airbnb. So they just wanted to see how much more money they could make short term renting it versus long term renting it. So what I'm doing now is I'm going into AirDNA and I'm looking at a couple of metrics. So the first thing that we're looking at is the market, and this market has a grade of A. So, right there, that's the first indication that a short term rental could be potentially successful. And then the next thing we'll do is kind of scroll down here and look at some more data. So, the average listing has 3.2 bedrooms and accommodates 7.4 guests. This client has a 4 bedroom home, so they will already be above average here. So, that's good. People are vacationing, they're coming down in large groups. So, that already puts them ahead of the game there. And then scrolling down here to amenities, we have a couple of areas here that have some gaps which can be filled. So, for example, only about 56% of listings have dryers, 29% of listings have cable TV, about 60% of listings have pools, and only 15% of listings have hot tubs. But keep in mind this is Florida, so it doesn't get very cold. So a hot tub is probably not something that's really in demand. So I would recommend for the client to stay competitive that they consider adding a pool. Um, and then the dryer is probably a easy, quick win. And then cable TV, I'm on the fence with that. I prefer streaming. Everybody has Netflix and Hulu, so I don't think that this is really a needed expense. But it's really up to the client. So that's a couple of things to look at regarding the market. And then we can look at occupancy. Here we see that this data is within the past month, so we've got a large booking lead time here, 110 days. So right now is a good time to start listing this because, as you'll see in the data, it really starts to pick up in June. So this is about 3-4 months. So really, they want to start getting on the market now in order to capture those June bookings. And if we look at rates, we're going to just change this here to reflect our number of bedrooms and occupancy. I still have to see what how the rooms look like to see what the occupancy will be, but for now, I'm going to assume 2 people per bedroom and then 2 people on a air mattress or a sofa bed. So let's see what we're looking like here. All right, so we've got an average nightly rate of 184, not too bad. Again, the rates stayed pretty high. I mean, they haven't ever gotten close to 100, so that's definitely a good indicator. And then here's some data about revenue. The other thing I like to look at is seasonality. So July is the best month. So, as we were looking at in the previous screen, we saw that there was a 110-day lead time. So what that means is that people are starting to book on average 110 days before their vacation. So give or take, that's about 4 months. So we're July, June, May, yeah, April, March. Like we really want to, get out there pretty soon so we can capture this here. So this is just kind of some historical seasonality. So you can see red means, high demand, low means, blue is like lower. So here you see July is hot. It's on fire, right? Um, right now it's February. February is very cool. So starts to pick up a little bit in March just on the weekends, but May, June, and July is really kind of when you know, when the bookings go up. So we want to get on here as soon as possible so we can capture this. Um, so that's it. So that's just a couple of things I look at on AirDNA. Um, I also look at some of comparable listings actually on the Airbnb platform because there I'll be able to drill down more specifically to what amenities like the competing properties have. So, this property doesn't have a pool right now. So, what I'll do is look at other properties that don't have pools, and that might adjust expectations a little bit in terms of what the nightly rate will be. And then we'll compare that with a normal long term renter rate. We'll use Rentometer for that. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Actually, I don't even think you can see it on this screen. Let me go to Rentometer. So just put the address in. All right. It's a 4-bedroom home. It's got 2 bathrooms. Let's analyze. Right. So average monthly rent will be 2,000. So, in order for Airbnb to make sense, obviously it will need to be over 2,000. I would argue that it should be double. So I think that it makes sense for them if they can get 4,000. You have to consider when you're doing short-term rentals, your operating expenses are going to be higher because you're going to have cleaning costs, you're going to have utility costs that normally would be passed on to a tenant, but you'll be paying them as the host. So just a couple of things to consider when you're doing your analysis. Just make sure that you're capturing all of your expenses. So yeah, that's just a little kind of very surface level of how we analyze a property for a potential client.